Hello everybody, and welcome to another chapter of Zavinski Life, the vlog series here on the channel. We're going to be doing something a little bit different this time around, a little less upbeat, but still part of our lives, and it's another good reason to call the series Zavinski Life and not Eric's life, because it's more than just my life. It's me, it's my husband, and it's the rest of our family too. For those of you who do not know, my grandfather, who we affectionately referred to as Papa my entire childhood, basically forever, has passed away. He passed on Thursday, February 24th, 2022, and yesterday, Monday, February 28th, 2022, we had his funeral, and all of those arrangements have been finished here with family. We had our day with him again, and now it's Tuesday, March 1st, 2022, and I figured to help myself move on, but to also celebrate his life further, I would dedicate a video solely to my grandfather and just kind of discuss my history with him, and also what he's meant to me and a lot of other people, not just to our family but to the community at large. So to give you a little bit of an introduction to my grandfather, because I think, if people know me and like me for whatever reason, part of that is due to being raised by a great family, and a big piece of that great family is my grandfather. So I think a lot of people deserve the chance to know him a little bit. So I'm actually going to start out by reading the obituary. It was posted in the Warren Times-Observer on Saturday, February 26th, 2022, and it's really well put together. The family helped put that together, and so I'm just going to read that now. James A. Zavinski Sr., 82, of Warren, passed away on Thursday, February 24th, 2022, at the Rouse home after an extended illness, with his loving family by his side. Jim was born in Warren, Pennsylvania on December 20th, 1939, the son of the late John and Mary Toplovich Zavinski. Jim grew up in Tiddiout, Pennsylvania, where he spent his early life with his parents, brothers, and sisters on the Hill. He would go on to graduate from Tiddiout High School with the class of 1960. Jim was employed for 32 years at the former Torpedo Wire and Strip, and retired from Worley Industries in 2005. Along with his full-time jobs, Jim spent many hours working at the Flying W Ranch as well. He was a longtime member of the Warren City Council, where he served 4 full terms on council and various committees beginning in 2001, before stepping down in January of 2021 after 20 years of service. Jim also served on the Tiddiout Borough Council for 1 term in his earlier life, and was a founding member with the Tiddiout Fishing Tournament. Jim was an instrumental and founding member of the Music in the Park program in Warren. Jim was of the Catholic faith and a former member of St. John Roman Catholic Church in Tiddiout. He was an avid hunter, fisherman, gardener, woodworker, craftsman, collector, and amateur archaeologist, always looking and digging for Native American arrowheads and classic bottles. Jim never officially retired, and was known as a handyman who could fix anything and a true jack of all trades. Jim was always a proponent of making his community a better place to live, and believed if you were able to do so, no matter how big or small, it was your duty to do so. In turn, he devoted much time helping and lending a hand throughout the community. Aside from his community, family was the center of Jim's life. On September 22nd, 1963, he married Frances Ann Frankie Bonavita Zavinski in Warren, and they would go on to spend the next 58 years together. They say behind every great man is a great woman, and in this case, Frankie was always by his side, if not leading the way. In addition to his wife, Frankie, Jim is survived by his 3 sons, James Zavinski Jr. and wife Sharon, Jeff Zavinski and wife Ruth, and Mark Zavinski and wife Stephanie, all of Warren, brother Paul Zavinski and wife Ruth of Warren, sisters Marianne Beardsley and husband Claire, and Kathy Briggs, all of Warren, and grandchildren Christian, Trey, Megan, Eric, Ryan, and Alex. Jim was preceded in death by his parents, one sister, Louise Lynch, and two brothers, Michael and John Zavinski. And then it goes into how friends may call the Donald E. Lewis Funeral Home, and we had a viewing from 10 a.m. to noon yesterday, and then we had a private family funeral service with Father Richard Tomazone, pastor of St. Joseph Roman Catholic Church, officiating, and the burial was held in Warren County Memorial Park. Those wishing to place memorials may do so through Rouse Home Estate Fund, 701 Rouse Avenue, Youngsville, PA, 16371, or Paws Along the River, which is our local Humane Society, 212 Elm Street, Warren, Pennsylvania, 16365, or Music in the Park. I apologize for any camera shaking you may be enduring. It's not super warm outside. It is spring. Well, not quite. It's March. And it's northwestern Pennsylvania, so I'm surprised the snow is melting even a little bit. But yeah, my arm's getting a little tired, so I'm trying to rest it on my other arm right now. But you know, I figured I would read his obituary, but I would also deliver a eulogy of sorts. I haven't written anything out, so I'm not going to read it off of a piece of paper or my phone. But I figured giving some sort of presentation on how Jim impacted my life would be nice. The funeral service was really short and private, and so there was no room to do that. We abided by the wishes of getting it done quickly and moving on with our lives, getting to work, which is very much like my grandfather. But this is my channel, and I can give a eulogy if I want to. So we're just gonna call this my eulogy for my grandfather, and we're just gonna go on and dive right into it. So Jim Zavinski, my grandfather, Papa, was really influential on my life. You know, we had a solid family with my brother and my two parents, so you know, they didn't really need a babysitter a whole lot. So whenever we came down and visited my grandparents, it was an occasion. It was special, because we didn't need to be, you know, babysat or taken care of when we were young a whole lot. However, when those occasions did pop up, it was very special. You know, I remember Papa and Frankie have always enjoyed being grandparents, I think, most of all, in all of their different titles that they've had throughout their lives. You know, their 80 plus years of experience. And Papa was always a goofball. He was always a family man. He always cared if you were eating or drinking, or in this case, drinking enough Coke. He really should have hydrated better. But you know, as the years went by, it wasn't just the fun and comedy of spending time with my grandfather, but it was also learning things from my grandfather and how to live and how to be. And it wasn't until really the last few years where I really started to think about that more often, and all of the gifts that my grandfather left behind that when I was a teenager or a small child, I didn't realize were gifts, because they were ways of life. They weren't all of the things that he has. And he has a lot of things because he is a collector. One of the most obvious things that I get from my grandfather is the urge to collect things. And my God, amateur archaeologist is pretty accurate because he has so many treasures and random things stowed away in that garage here in Warren. It's pretty incredible. It's really fun to go through it and see a little bit of history. Not just history of all the artifacts, but history of him having found them and gone on weird journeys to get that stuff. I think he had a metal detector for an age as well, just to dig up stuff because he was always fascinated with learning. He is a lifelong learner, as am I. He never wanted to stop learning. He never wanted to stop creating either. That is a huge thing that I've inherited, if you will. People would always make jokes when he would pull out the camera at family functions to take pictures and be like, "Oh, here we go again, Papa with his camera." And then look what I've been doing for the past half decade, going on a full decade here, I'm sure, with the vlog, because I too, like to take pictures and videos and do that kind of stuff. And I like to create for the sake of it. And Papa was the same way. Whether he was doing woodworking, creating wooden angels that would be seen on people's houses for all to see, or if he was just making something that would just end up sitting here alone in the garage for maybe just him and his family to see. He loved to create things, and so do I. And I feel like that's in the Zavinski blood, is to create. My creations are of a different kind. I like to write. I like to film. But he loved to garden. He loved to create flower arrangements. He loved to be a handyman. And while different mediums are at play on different sides of the family, being a creator is just something that he has always been. And when you think about it, being a creator is kind of the same as being a servant leader, serving your community. And he did that nonstop until he couldn't anymore, until he started having dementia and was living at the Rouse home, which took great care of him in his last couple of years, by the way. He did it until the end, until the very end. Not only did he serve on city council, but he wasn't a big politics guy. He really wasn't. He simply served because that felt like the right thing to do, and that he had to serve his community. But what he was more well known for, arguably, is taking those same flower arrangements and putting them around the city. The Hickory Street Bridge here in Warren, it's one of our biggest landmarks, and constantly it was furbished with his flowers. And then right next to the bridge, Soldiers and Sailors Park, both him and my grandmother, Frankie, brought life to that place. Dating all the way back to the year I was born, 1996, they were doing Music in the Park, which was basically just recruiting local and regional musicians every weekend to perform music. And so not only did they give the community something to have fun with, but they also kept that historic park in good shape. And one of my first community service projects with the Boy Scouts was going to help my grandfather with making sure Soldiers and Sailors Park was power washed, and that it was clean, and that it looked nice for the summer that was to come. And it's completely impossible to forget things like that, because that was something that he would have done anyway. But he brought his grandson and then his other grandsons to help out with stuff like that. He helped us with both Ryan and I's Eagle Scout projects. Mine was being completed in late 2010. Brick flower beds in front of the City of Warren Municipal Building. Obviously, he helped with that. And even Ryan's Eagle Scout project, which we actually have here on the vlog from 2017, which was building from scratch flower beds for the Kinzu Healthcare, which used to be known as Golden Living, here on Water Street in Warren. I mean, that was just an awesome project. And again, he's pushing 80. He was close to 80 years old at that point, but he was still getting his hands dirty and making sure that everything was getting done the right way, because he has so many years of experience, and he just wants to help. So he created things, but he also created a sense of community and a sense of family, and really just, he took care of his family, but he also took care of the whole city, the city of Warren. A lot of people stopped by the viewing or left cards and flowers, and some people affectionately refer to Jim, my grandfather, as Mr. Warren, because if you've lived here for a long time, it's almost impossible to not know who my grandfather is. He's visible in one area or another, and but he never did it to be visible. He did it because he just believed it was the right thing to do. And honestly, because he just has an urge to work. He has an urge to do things. So, you know, you always have to be on the move and to help out and do things where you can. And that really was my grandfather down to a T. And I get that. I get that from him. You know, I feel like it's my duty to be involved in my communities, whether it's here in my hometown growing up, or it's in Valparaiso, Indiana, where Colton and I live right now. Being involved in your community is super important, because you can't just care about the family in your own home. That's super important, and that is most important, but you have to give back and think a little bit bigger than that too. And my grandfather balanced both incredibly well. It was inspiring to see, and the older I got, the more I realized that those virtues and those values have always been in me, in part because you grow up seeing it. My whole family is that way, but again, my grandfather is the patriarch of the family. I never met my great-grandfather. He had passed before I was born, and my great-grandmother passed when I was very, very young. So Papa is where it starts for me, Papa and Frankie, and their example is just, it's almost been easy to follow because I've known nothing else. You just gotta serve your community, and you gotta bring your family in on the experience. Back here, he used to take me out hiking. We were like cutting down skunk cabbage when I was a very small child, and to me that was the coolest thing in the world. He gave me a sickle, he had a machete. I was probably way too young to even be around either of those items, but he had a sense of adventure to him. He loved the outdoors. That's something that I also inherit and take with me. Back here, it was the biggest wide open space I could ever imagine. But when I look at it as an adult, this is Conowongo Creek. It's not that wide. Due to the snow melt, it's kind of high right now. The water level is kind of high, but it's not that big. But Papa, at an early age, just got me hooked on adventure, got me hooked on the outdoors, got me hooked on serving my community, got me hooked on creating things and making memories and keeping those memories. And in due turn, this vlog dedicated to my grandfather is one of those memories. And it was definitely sad. It was definitely, the last week has been hard. Can't lie about that, right? But he lived a full life, the fullest life I could maybe even imagine. And it's my goal to live a life just like that. So for the next 60 years, hopefully I continue to do that and live a life just like he did. Dedicated to the ones he loved, dedicated to the community that he cared about more than almost anybody I've ever seen could possibly do, and to create things and to leave a legacy. Because Papa, with all the people that you've loved, all the members of our family who continue to live by the way you lived, your legacy is eternal. And I truly believe that. When Colton and I have kids of our own, we'll be telling them about you and how you impacted my life and impacted the lives of so many people. So, Papa, you may have passed on to the next world, but you are not gone, and you will never be forgotten. So, thank you, my grandfather, Jim Zavinski, my Papa. I love you very much, and that will never change. Thank you guys for watching and for listening to my stories about my grandfather. It means a lot to me. All right, how far and how high can the ball go? Let's see. Here we go. Super ball. Yay! Whoa! We're gonna break some things. Is there a rabbit in there?
Rabbit, come on, here
You told me there was gonna be a rabbit. It's gonna be exciting, but there's no rabbit. Are those your peppers over there?
Those are Japanese lanterns. That looks like
Wait.
my camera.
They are? Yeah, I know. I think we both have red cameras. Wait, what's this called
The
again?
Japanese lantern.
Japanese lantern plant? Whoa.
Have you seen it?
So they're just flowers. They're not edible or anything.
No, they're flowers.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
So it's a new day, and we're going to work again. And we're at the Plaza restaurant. Great place in local downtown Warren to support small business and get some great food. Say hi to the camera.
We had
Yeah.
42 Grinches.
That is a lot of Grinches. And then that's a example of a miniature angel. How long have you been making those angels?
20 years.
Yeah, that's a lot. And they're in 7 states in the country now. That is pretty cool. The Valentine's hearts we just finished for Valentine's Day in a month. And then an angel that we made today that we're almost done putting together.
I like Christmas trees too.
Wreaths. Pretty sweet stuff. Do a lot of work back here. You've garnered quite the collection over the years.